Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into this video. My name is Jackie and I talk about spirituality and personal development and bring them together to help raise the collective consciousness of the planet. So in today's video, I feel called to talk about mother and father wounds and inner child healing. This is something that was brought to my awareness just this past year when I was living in Costa Rica. Up until that point, I had no idea what this was, and it made me realize a lot, and I felt like it would be very, very beneficial for everyone to know about this because it really helped me learn a lot about myself and to go on my own healing journey. So essentially, if you've never heard these terms before, a mother and father wound are wounds that happen when we have a relationship with our parents and not all of our needs were met. Whether we weren't receiving love as much as we needed to, or feeling safe as much as we needed to, not having emotional support as much as we needed to. And because of that, now in our adult life, we struggle with certain aspects in our life because we're holding on to a lot of our wounds. So let's say if we have problems in relationships, we keep attracting certain kinds of relationships in our life that are really destructive for ourselves, or a lot of how we feel about ourselves. If we feel very unworthy, if we're in a lot of anxiety or depression or fear, a lot of these things can be traced back to our upbringing as children and our relationship with our parents. And so now this inner child healing journey is all about going back to the root of what has created this pattern in our life to do the healing work so then we can break this pattern. And it's not about blaming our parents at all for how we are, the way we are, in our behavior as adults and what our circumstances are, because a lot of these mother and father wounds happen to our parents too. It's generational, and it gets passed down each generation, and everyone's doing the best they can given their state of consciousness. So this isn't about, holding resentment towards our parents or being angry, because there's no such thing as a perfect parent. We're all doing the best we can, and it's just a matter of raising our awareness to our upbringing and healing this inner child so we can have the best relationship and create the best life for ourselves. So some signs that your inner child does need healing is being highly reactive, struggling with emotional and mental health, if it's maybe depression, feeling overly anxious, having a hard time creating boundaries with people. Another one is just repeating patterns in relationships. So if you keep attracting like maybe narcissistic people in your life, or you keep attracting people who abuse you emotionally or in whatever way, it's oftentimes because of the relationship you had with your mother and father and how they showed up for you in your upbringing. So like, for example, for me, I've always had a tendency to be a people pleaser, and I didn't really think much of it. I just always felt like I was this way. And then when I realized it was a mother and father wound of not having fully emotional support when I needed it, and that was partly because it was very hard for me to even express my emotions or say what I needed to say. I kept a lot suppressed because my parents were going through a lot of their own emotional struggles, so suppressed a lot of my own feelings and emotions to be there for them and play that motherly role sometimes for them. And because of that, in order for me to seek connection with them, when I felt like I couldn't, then it manifested as people pleasing, because that's how I learned to form a deeper connection with them. That's how my child wanted to connect. So it learned that I could learn to connect in that way. And I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of that until I started doing research on this. So a lot of things, like, let's say if your father wasn't present in your upbringing, then as an adult you could be very codependent, or if one of your parents walked out of your family, then as an adult you could have a fear of abandonment in your relationships. So or if maybe you didn't receive love or as much love, or they were very tough on you, then maybe as an adult you feel very unworthy and unlovable. And a lot of these feelings of how we feel about ourselves and our relationships has to do with our relationship with our parents. So, almost everyone has father and mother wounds. It can be very subtle, and it's okay. The first way to do this healing is to first raise it to our awareness and shine the light on it, because these aspects I'm talking about is called our shadow side, because it's the part of ourselves that we don't want to look at, because it reminds us of pain and hurt. But the first step is to shine the light on our shadow, and as soon as we do that, it loses its power over us. So doing that's the first step. And then another way to heal your inner child is to write a letter to your child self. So if your inner child didn't feel like it was heard or seen, you get to write a letter to your inner child and ask, how are you feeling? How can I support you? What do you need from me? And then you respond from your child self, because your inner child's always a part of you. It never, we get older, but we're still that same child, and it's still within us. So we get to answer from our child self. And when we can do that, we can get to heal our child and break these patterns in our life. Another couple other ways is getting therapy, journaling as your child self to connect with your child again. Another one is inner child healing meditations. That's one I've done before. And you do a guided meditation and you get brought back to your childhood moments when maybe you didn't feel loved or you didn't feel safe. And you tell your present self tells your child self all the things that you needed to hear at that time when maybe you didn't receive it. And give yourself that love when you didn't have it. So that's another way. There's psychic surgery, which I've done also, and it has been very, very beneficial for me, going back to any past traumas, to look at it and talk about it, and that just even that is healing for it and releasing it out of our body. So that is essentially different ways you can heal your inner child. A lot of the way we are as adults, a lot of our behaviors and everything that adds up to like our personality, a lot of it goes back to our upbringing, and it's okay. And I hope that this video could help bring awareness to see if maybe you do have any mother-father wounds, and if you feel called to go on that healing journey and start, attracting better relationships or better circumstances, or just a healthier mind and a healthier inside world for yourself. So yeah, that's essentially what mother and father wounds are and what inner child healing is all about. There's so much more that goes into this, but this is just scratching the surface. So I just wanted to bring it to people's awareness, because I feel like it's a very powerful thing to learn about ourselves. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. And I just want to tell your inner child, if she or he needs to hear this, that you are loved and you are safe and you are worthy, and everything's going to be okay in the end. So yeah, sending you so much love and light, and thank you so much for listening.